Hello, in this tutorial I'm going to be looking at the switch statement in PHP, why it should be used, and the overall structure, so the syntax that you should use when using your switch statement. So first of all, the reason we use a switch statement, it's very similar to an if-else or if-else statement, but it's a lot neater and it works better and looks better when you have lots of possible values that a variable could be. So for example, let's create a variable. I'm going to call this num, and the number is going to be 10. Now I start my switch statement with the switch keyword, and in brackets it's the variable that we want to compare, so in this case it is num. Now underneath what we have is we have different cases. So the way it works is we have case and then a specific case, so case 10 for example, and then we have a colon on the end, and we break here. So essentially, if you think of this as an if statement, this would be the if, this would be the sort of comparison, so if it's equal to 10, and then we break at the end of it, so this would be like the end of our if statement. So case 10, I want to echo let's say 10. So what I'm essentially doing is converting the number from an integer to a string, so I'm echoing 10. Let's just increment this in a bit, and then what I might do is say case 9, and then I break as I've just done, and then I echo out 9, and then we'll just do one more, case 8. Now you can already start to see how much easier this is, or how much easier this would be if you had lots and lots of things to compare. So I'm essentially using this to convert a number from a normal number, like a figure, an integer, to a string. So if this was 10, we'd echo out 10, 9, we'd echo out 9, and 8, we'd echo out 8. So we'll leave it at that for now, but we could do this from all the way from say 1 to 100. We also do have a default action, so default and then break. This doesn't have to be included, it's not required. However, it is in certain cases a good idea to use. So I'm going to echo out number not recognized. Okay, so we're just going to say the number's not recognized. For example, if this equaled 1, we don't have a case for 1, so the default, if nothing else. This is more like the else, so if nothing else has been found, then that's fine. So we can basically run this code. The first thing I'm going to do is change this to 1, and let's refresh our page. Okay, so we've been given the message number not recognized. In the case that this might be 10, we can say refresh, and we're getting the number 10 back returned as a string. We can say 9, and we refresh, and that's 9, and then again the same with 8. That's fine. But again, if we go any lower, so if we go to 7, that doesn't exist, so the default is to print out number not recognized. So it's an easier and quicker way to make lots of comparisons at once. Now there are also different ways we can apply this. So for example, if I change this number variable to a string and I was to say 10, we could check for a string and then output something something different. So we could output let's say 10 as this isn't as an integer, but it's as a figure. So let's again change this to 9 and then change this to 9. We could in fact set a variable here, say num equals 9, something like that. In fact, we'll do that, that's probably a better idea. So num equals 10. Okay, so we're essentially converting back from string to an integer, and let's say 10, 9, and then we've got 8, and here we would say num equals 8, and then underneath we can echo out num. So num starts out at a string, and it ends up as an integer as we're echoing this integer out. So let's test this out. We've got 10. Let's just put 1 in because that's not in our list. Okay, so we've got okay, yeah, we've got number not recognized. We're also now printing out 1 in text because obviously we're not doing anything to say that to get rid of it. So we're essentially echoing it out anyway. So let's change it to 10, and we'll see that by refreshing we're producing the number 10. The same with 9, and again the same with 8. Okay, so also what we can do is we can change this. Let's just change this to name, and I'm going to put the name as Alex. Let's get rid of these cases and the default. Make sure we add that in, get rid of that. So we're starting basically again, but we're switching name this time. So what I could do is say case Alex. I could say case, let's make sure we've got rid of that. Say Billy, case Billy, and I could say case Josh. Okay, so we've got 3 cases and then we break there. So now in here, we output a result that takes into account all 3 of these. So we don't need to break after each case. We can include 3. So the same as an if statement would work. We've created this, but a lot more easily. So echo hello there. Okay, but now what we could do is say default, and then we can break. And inside the default, we could write, let's say, go away, as I've done in previous tutorials using this example. So this is basically saying we're switching the name variable. We're checking if it equals to Alex, Billy, or Josh, and if it does, we're echoing out hello. Otherwise, so by saying default, we're echoing go away. So at the moment, this equals Alex. Let's refresh. It says hello there. Now let's change this to Billy. Let's refresh. We're still saying hello there. And Josh, we're still saying hello there. So now what happens if we change this to something else? We refresh and we get go away. So you can see that instead of using an if statement, a long if statement, I mean this could include sort of 50 names. I mean you wouldn't do this way anyway. You'd probably use an array, which is something that you may already know about, but you can learn later on. But this gives you a general idea of how it's a lot easier than creating an over length if statement to receive or to achieve the same effect. So that's basically switch in PHP.